What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA playoffs, Tuesday, May 14th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, in this video, we're going to go over the single game slate, the showdown between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Golden State Warriors, and we're also going to cover the two-game slate, the classic slate that spans over 2 days, and it includes the Toronto Raptors and Milwaukee Bucks players. So we'll go over some of those picks at the end of the video. Okay, so starting off with the single game showdown tonight, you gotta play either Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum. Pick one of them and fade the other. Normally how it works is one of these guys gets hot and the other one has a subpar game. Last game was CJ McCollum, so I'm gonna go with Damian Lillard this game. He's really been underperforming every game of the playoffs, so I think he's due for a breakout game. He's got a better matchup here versus Golden State Warriors. Damian Lillard has scored 48 and 54 in his last two versus Golden State. Damian Lillard is projected at 47.4 fantasy points here tonight. I like his chances at that 50-point upside, so I like Damian Lillard here versus the Golden State Warriors. Okay, coming down in salary off of the top players, I like Klay Thompson from the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson has scored 40, 42, and 23 fantasy points in the last 3 games of the playoffs, averaging 34.1 fantasy points per game on the season in an average of 34 minutes per game with a 26% usage rate. Klay Thompson played 39 minutes last game, scored 40 fantasy points. Klay Thompson is projected at 40 fantasy points here tonight. They're going to need his scoring with no Kevin Durant, so I like Klay Thompson here versus the Portland Trail Blazers. So our DFS tools for MLB Baseball are now live and working. You can click on the MLB tab to change sports and check the tools out for baseball. They're really helpful. They're going to save you guys a ton of research time. Remember, we added projected ownership, and that will be updating throughout the day as injury news changes. We also added the fantasy points per minute stat here for each player. And we also added a stat that's new to the industry. We call it the hit percentage, and it's the percent chance this player has to hit value at his current DFS salary. And you can access all these new stats even on mobile devices by tapping the dash rank icon. Okay, now moving way down in salary here. Some value plays. I like Enes Kanter from the Portland Trail Blazers. Enes Kanter has scored 31, 24, and 21 fantasy points in the last 3 games of the playoffs, averaging 30.2 fantasy points per game on the season in an average of 24 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. Enes Kanter played 39 minutes last game, scored 31 fantasy points, and he's only $4,400 DraftKings salary. So he's super low priced today. He's one of my candidates for DraftKings captain. With Enes Kanter as your DraftKings captain, it allows you to play almost any player that you want. And this guy's got 40 to 50 point upside. He played 39 minutes last game. This price is just way too low. I love Enes Kanter here versus the Golden State Warriors. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the position optimizer where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new player trends tool where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, another value play. I like Kevon Looney from the Golden State Warriors. Kevon Looney has scored 25, 23, and 10 fantasy points in the last 3 games of the playoffs, averaging 17.3 fantasy points per game on the season in an average of 19 minutes per game with a 13% usage rate. Kevon Looney has been playing 20 to 22 minutes a game. His role has been solidified with the injury to Durant. Kevon Looney is projected at 29.7 fantasy points here tonight. That projection may be a little bit high. I think between 20 and 25 is where you're going to get Kevon Looney, but that's still enough to return value. He's low salary, and I think he's a great value play today. The Portland Trailblazers give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards, so Kevon Looney's in a great spot tonight. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $100 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won, and then we'll send you $100 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, and then a mid-range player. I like Andre Iguodala from the Golden State Warriors. Iggy's put up 35, 24, and 22 fantasy points in the last 3 games of the playoffs, averaging 18.4 fantasy points per game on the season in an average of 23 minutes per game with a 10% usage rate. But look at these playoff numbers. Iguodala has played 37, 33, and 29 minutes in the last 3 games. Playoff Iguodala is a real thing. Now he's playing at home, and he's got a great matchup. Projected at 31.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's plenty of points to hit value. So I like Andre Iguodala here versus the Portland Trailblazers. Okay, so those are my picks for today's game. Now let's take a look at this Milwaukee-Toronto game. If you're playing the 2-game slate, you're going to have to pick some Milwaukee and Toronto players. So I'm going to go through them and give you my favorites. So of course, guys, at the top, Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. He's $10,300 DraftKings salary. He's $1,700 more on FanDuel, projected at 56.8 fantasy points. That's 5.5 times value. You can see Giannis has been smashing the playoffs, 48, 71, and 69 fantasy points in the last 3 games, averaging 57.5 fantasy points per game on the season in an average of 33 minutes per game with a 32% usage rate. We'll see how Giannis matches up versus the Toronto Raptors, but I expect him to put up at least 50 fantasy points and get you over 5 times value. The other player I like from the Milwaukee Bucks is Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton has scored 39, 29, and 38 fantasy points in the last 3 games of the playoffs, averaging 34.6 fantasy points per game on the season in an average of 31 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. Chris Middleton is $6,800 DraftKings salary. He's $600 more on FanDuel, so I like that price on both sites. Projected at 37.7 fantasy points, that's 5.6 times value. This is a home game, a fast-paced game. Chris Middleton has scored 35, 33, 29, 36, and 35 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Toronto Raptors. So I like Chris Middleton here versus the Toronto Raptors. Okay, a lower salary player. I like Marc Gasol from the Toronto Raptors playing the Milwaukee Bucks. Marc Gasol has scored 27, 22, and 27 fantasy points in the last 3 games of the playoffs, averaging 34.4 fantasy points per game on the season in an average of 31 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. Remember, Marc Gasol was matched up with Joel Embiid, so all of his energy was going into the defensive side. Marc Gasol is $5,400 DraftKings salary. He's $200 more on FanDuel, so I like that price on both sites. Projected at 39.2 fantasy points, I think that's a little bit high. I think 35 would be a reasonable projection, but that's still way over 5 times value. I think this is a great play. Marc Gasol had a bad matchup, and I think it gets better here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. So I like Marc Gasol here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. And another value play that I like in this game is Nikolai Mirotic from the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Toronto Raptors. Nikolai Mirotic has scored 37, 17, and 20 fantasy points in the last 3 games of the playoffs, averaging 30.1 fantasy points per game on the season in an average of 27 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. Nikolai Mirotic is $4,700 DraftKings salary. He's $500 more on FanDuel, so I like that price on both sites. Projected at 28.2 fantasy points, that's 6 times value. Probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. A low salary player, a guy that's got 40-point upside. He scored 33 fantasy points in his last game versus the Toronto Raptors. So I like Nikolai Mirotic here versus the Toronto Raptors. Oh, and if you think Serge Ibaka is going to get the minutes at $4,400 DraftKings salary, you could roll the dice on him. He played 29 minutes last game and scored 32 fantasy points. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.